Yeah. All I need is one mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic.
Hey everybody, welcome back to One Mic, where I watch shit so you don't have to. And today I'm here to talk about episode 3 of Disney and Marvel's What If, entitled What If the World Lost Its Mightiest Heroes. This episode is exactly what the fuck I'm talking about regarding what I wanted from this series. You know, episode 1, to me, it just wasn't very imaginative. You know, we took the Captain America First Avenger story and just substituted in Peggy Carter for the most part. Episode 2 did a really good job of what I asked for in episode 1, which was essentially taking a piece of the lore, changing it slightly, and creating a whole new storyline that was really interesting. This one took it a step further, and it didn't even really take one single twist and make it, make a branched off storyline. This was in ways an entirely new story altogether, not a existing story with a twist that creates a branch. And this one was pretty dark too. So like, this is what I was talking about. You know, I've talked with a couple of friends of mine about this series, and Delvin in particular. Shout out to Delvin. I remember he mentioned that he really wanted the What If series to be darker, like the comics, and I feel like this is probably an episode that really worked for him because because the Avengers died in it. So that I'm sure that met his tickled his fancy, I guess would be the best way to put it. But no, this was a fun episode. And this was fun for a couple of reasons, because like I said, 1, we got a whole new storyline. 2, we got something a little bit darker where a lot of Avengers die. And then 3, we even got like, a whodunit here, because we don't know who's doing this. So I'm going to, run through the episode pretty briefly, because it's not too complex, but, run through it a little bit and then just talk a little bit more about what I liked, what I didn't. So, and I don't think there is anything that I didn't like, honestly. But so we start off with Natasha and Nick Fury seemingly going to collect the Avengers, is what appears to be happening. We start off with Tony, and Natasha's giving Tony an injection to help with the condition with his heart that we know about from Iron Man, and it kills him. And we're like, okay, what the fuck? So now it looks like Natasha killed Tony. We then go to the opening scene, not the opening scene, but one of the earlier scenes in Thor, in which Thor's going to retrieve Mjolnir, and Hawkeye's got the arrow on him, and it looks like Hawkeye shoots him. Of course, he would, Barton would be like, I wouldn't do this, like I don't miss, I don't slip, but it looks like he kills him. Thor dies. They lock up Hawkeye. He dies in prison. Well, not prison, but locked up. He died in captivity. There's no one there that gets to him. He just dies. Then we move on to the famous scene from the first Hulk movie, the Edward Norton version, the one that exists canonically in the MCU, and it's the famous scene in like the enclosed bridge where General Ross rolls up with the tank, and you got Tim Roth there. Well, Tim Roth wasn't there in this, but that scene, where him and Tim Roth have this fight, and Hulk's taking on these tanks and whatnot. Great scene, by the way. But it looks like no one on Ross's side claims they did it, shoots Bruce. Bruce hulks up. He's going down to fight. Shit's getting real, but then he starts getting bigger and bigger and bigger and explodes. Like, okay, like this is really fucking crazy what they're doing with this episode here. And then Loki arrives to essentially avenge Thor, and him and Nick kind of have a deal to where, hey, give me some time to find out who did this, and I'll serve this fucker up to you. And Loki agrees. So Nick and Natasha go on a mission to figure out who it is that's doing this, and ultimately we arrived at we can't say we arrived at Hope Van Dyne, but Natasha used Coulson's super cool password to get into the system that she was locked out of, because of course they think that she killed Tony. And she looks at like, okay, how did Hope Van Dyne access this computer when she's been dead? It looks like Natasha has a fight with an invisible person, and eventually we find out that it's Hank Pym. And what I didn't like about this episode, I'm not going to say I didn't like, because this was a really fun episode, but I felt like the motivations for Hank to kill off all the Avengers were kind of like implausible a little bit, he's pissed. Hope goes on a mission for Shield and dies, and he's coming at Nick like, I just wanted you to feel the same pain that I felt, and you use these people, and then he kills all these people that had nothing to do with it just to get back at Nick Fury. Like, I find that to be kind of like a weak motive, a little bit thin for the show. I feel like they could have come up with something a little bit stronger than that as a reason to why Hank would want to do this. But at that point, I'm kind of like, okay, this is a little bit underwhelming of a reveal that it's Hank Pym, and his reasoning is a little thin. And I'm like, I've enjoyed this episode immensely to this point, so there was no way I was going to get in front of you guys and shit on this episode because of that. But I was kind of disappointed because I'm like, I'm not really feeling this ending right now. Like I looked at it like this is the ending, which it ended up not being. But I'm thinking like, I'm not feeling this ending. Hank's motivations are weak. I don't really know where this is going to go. And what they did that I really liked is, again, they provided another twist that I did catch on to fairly early, but not early enough because they had a scene that set it up a little bit earlier. But for some reason, Fury's kicking Hank's ass. And I'm like, okay, wait, what is this? Like, and then I'm wondering, like, okay, is Fury different within this universe? Does he have powers? Does he have some sort of training? Like, what's going on here? And eventually he starts like cloning himself and disappearing and shit. And I'm like, oh, wait, feeling real fucking dumb. Oh, wait, it's Loki. And they had set that up earlier by having Nick show up to where Loki was and saying that he needs to speak to him. So I thought that was a nice twist, having Loki do his I'm trying to I can't remember the terms now from the Loki TV show. The terms that he has for like projecting himself versus turning into someone else. He had terms for it. But turning into someone else, he did both actually. Turning into someone else and projecting himself. So that was really cool seeing Loki do that. I didn't actually do the research of looking into seeing who did what voices, which I usually do before I get on here, but I wanted to hop on here and talk about this episode right away. But everyone pretty much sounded like themselves. I know that the previous episodes, when they had people who weren't the actual actors from the MCU, they still kind of sounded like the actor to me. So it was something where, like, if I hadn't looked it up, I might not have known that it wasn't that actor. But in this one, a lot of them sounded like the same person. I'm certain on, like Bruce, I'm certain that's him. I'm obviously I'm certain that's Samuel L. Jackson. There's no one who could sound like that. But I feel like, I don't know, they all sounded like themselves to me. I'm unsure on Jeremy Renner. I'm unsure on Robert Downey Jr., but I feel like I read that Robert Downey Jr. was in this. But they got, they got the team back. Obviously, that was definitely Tom Hiddleston as well. So I don't think that was Michael Douglas as Hank Pym, though. But they put together a really strong episode, and I wish more of them were like this. And I'm not saying that they won't be, they might be, but I like this. Like, this is something completely different, a completely new story, still involving the same people, and it even still slightly mirrors, something that happens canonically within the MCU, which is the building of the Avengers. But this isn't even like a shoot off from a different, from an established story. This is an entirely new story, which is different from what we've seen in the previous two episodes. So I really enjoyed this one. Give me more like that. Like, that's what I was looking for in this series. And give me no more of what episode 1 was. So I mean, I'm gonna wrap this one up early. There's not really much to discuss here. This was a very straightforward episode. It's just a fun time with a brand new story and some darkness, some whodunit. Like, they packed a lot into this 25 minutes, give or take, once you take away the credits. 25 to 30 minutes. So thumbs up on this one. I really enjoyed this one. So I guess I'll see you guys next week for episode 4. Keep it short and quick. See you guys next week. Peace.